Paul's favorite thing about drones is not the flying, it is not the racing, it is not the videography. Though he loves all those things, it is something else entirely. And you're going to hear about it in this video. And we get pretty deep into that topic. And I hope that you enjoy it. See you guys soon. Well, let's turn the conversation a little bit to something else.
Sure.
You don't just race DRL, right? Like you do. I mean, you have run the gamut of things, right? Like there's everything from the video of the year where you played with that train to obviously the DRL stuff. You fly long range, you fly commercially. You're a huge proponent of the cinewhoop movement. I remember, I think one of the best videos I think I ever saw from you was the museum video. Mm-hmm. That was just, it was awesome seeing you guys play in that museum, but also seeing the footage that came out of it. Mm-hmm. What is, out of everything that you do, what is your favorite out of all of that?
Oh. What is my favorite out of all of it?
And you can have two if you need to.
Yeah, no, I would say that, I love each individual aspect. I love different things about each of them. For racing, like, it scratches that competitive itch. It gives me that outlet for competing, for video making and filming and stuff like that. There was a point in my life where I was very, and still I probably am a little bit to a degree, skeptical that I could ever be creative. I believed that creativity was not for everyone and that I did not deserve it. Like, I can't draw, I can't sing. I could kind of play instruments, but I would follow the score exactly. I wouldn't deviate at all, stuff like that. And then I kind of all of a sudden realized that if I put effort into just learning the skills and the process and the rules about making video, I could find ways to express myself in a creative way, and that's what's kind of continued to drive that side of it. The same thing with my YouTube, with working for commercial organizations, for cinewhooping, whatever it is. It's continuing to foster that creativity that I didn't know that I had. But my favorite part about all of this is that drone racing is a place of community. I think that community is formed around people that are intensely passionate about one thing or another, and when you bring a bunch of people that are excited about something together, you create instant friends. You build human connection. I think that humans as a species are meant to be in community, and when I see a 10-year-old hanging out with a 70-year-old, hanging out with a black person, hanging out with a white person, hanging out with somebody that doesn't even speak the same goddamn language as you, but you all are friends because of this thing, there is something that is extremely beautiful and extremely important for the human experience that needs to continue to be fostered. And so if I like each individual piece of it, but like what is most exciting to me is to go out and meet somebody for the first time and go flying, to go to China and to not be able to even share one word with them, but we all, as soon as you hear the motors go, you have instant, you instantly know what the other person is thinking and feeling. And so my mission for a long time now has been make sure that people realize the opportunity that they're given to experience human connection and to be a part of something that is much bigger than you and something that is so good and healthy for you. So that's my favorite part, is that people are brought together by drones.
I like it. So I want to dig into that deep. I'd like to break in right here and thank our sponsor, PyroDrone. PyroDrone has been supporting the FPV community for a long time, and I personally would not be in the air without them. PyroDrone has given us a 10% off code that you can use, Pyro-Rollins, and you can find all the details in the description below. Thank you to PyroDrone for sponsoring this and all of the Paul Nurk episodes, and I will talk to you soon.
Please.
So I don't know if I don't know how much you I mean, you don't have a lot of time. I don't know how much you see what goes on in some of the Facebook forums. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about, when you talk about community, the picture that you just drew was a very face-to-face community.
Yes.
And it is that, you and I will step onto the same field and we will share this common bond of the motors winding up and having an amazing time together. Mm-hmm. And yet, when we step off the field and all of a sudden we're separated from each other by this screen that's now in front of us, and there's no face to really look at, and I'm not hearing the words that are coming out of your mouth, all of a sudden our community becomes very toxic. Mm-hmm. Do you have a way to combat that, or have you thought much about combating that, or is it just a matter of disengaging yourself from that toxicity?
I wish I had a way to combat it. I have built platforms in the past based around online community engagement, and they have become very toxic, and to the point where I was losing friendships as a result of it. And you can only stomach that for so long before you have to pull yourself out, before it starts to harm, to damage your mental health by mm-hmm. continuing to be around it. And so, you can intervene as much as you can, but at the end of the day, the person on the other end has to have that same realization that they are speaking with a human, and that it's not, I try to, double check, triple check everything that I say so that it doesn't even happen to come across as toxic or annoying, and then obviously all of us make mistakes sometimes too, but that toxicity is one of the things that really it bothers me. It hurts when I look at FPV from this perspective of human beauty, and then you get online and somebody just comes in and shits all over the thing you made, or whatever's going on. It's really hard to remember that sometimes, and so no, I don't have a way of battling it other than just continuing to remind myself why I'm doing this and why I mm-hmm. do care about these people so much. It's tricky. It's really tricky.
I had my first real encounter with the mistake, right? When when the whole FPV show came out that Rotor Riot did. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you saw any part of it. But I had started
the interview show.
Yeah, the interview show. So I'd been doing a few interviews, and actually had interviewed Chad Capper first.
Yep.
And then Chad started his interview show, which was just radically different than this format here. And there were people that were offended for me because they thought, oh my God, Chad's stealing Mike's idea. This isn't even fair. Fast forward, I went through a little spell where I was a little sick, and when I was getting better, I posted what I thought was an obvious joke about
oh boy
about Chad. Hey Chad, I'm really upset and I've been sick, and while I was sick you took advantage of me, and and at the end of it, like I Thanos snapped him, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting here going, obviously this is like so overplayed.
It's satire.
It's not. It's totally satire.
Yeah.
People didn't see it that way.
No.
And it was shocking to me, and I ended up deleting the post. It was in the FPV Pilot Bar.
Okay.
And made a follow-up video where I just said, hey, we've got to be nicer to each other.
Yeah.
This is like not acceptable. That, I mean, number one, I probably should have had a lot more forethought before I put that video out. But it amazes me how many people came back on that video where I'm like, hey, we're each people, we need to treat each other with common decency. And there were people that were in my YouTube comment threads telling me to put my big boy pants on because this is the real world, and shit talking happens, and you need to just deal with it.
Yeah.
And it was a moment where I really sat down and I thought, I may disengage. Like I may just completely pull out at this point. Yeah. Have you been there?
Once a week. I mean,
okay.
I'll say at least a couple times a year. I'm just like, why do I do this? I'm done. Yeah. It's brutal out there. But I think the longer you're in it, the easier it is to build up that shield against those feelings. And I'm worried that I might be more sensitive than most sometimes. And so I take things pretty hard. If my wife was still here, she would tell me, she would agree. She would be like, yeah, you need to just turn off. But yeah, and there's a lot of times where I'm just like, why? I'll make a video and I'll be really excited about it, and then you get 50 great comments, and then one guy's like, this sucks, and you're just like, I'm done, I'm out. It's just like, I don't get it. Yeah. There's nothing. I think it all comes back to, it has to be something that you choose to get satisfaction out of your own work, and regardless of how somebody else looks at it, you can't build your self-worth or self-identity based on their impression of you. It has to be intrinsic, or else you are going to burn.
So do you think there's value in these communities, in the online community specifically? Like
absolutely.
In YouTube, in Facebook, like what is that value? What do you think it is?
Well, so on one hand, there is toxicity, but on the other hand, there are, people that are genuinely inspired by stuff, and you have the opportunity to teach people new things, and you have, some people just want content to consume, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Like if they want something to listen to on their way to work, like it's there. And in like content itself, in me sharing my experiences, hopefully openly and truthfully, so that people are aware that it's not always the polished, edited lifestyle that we make in a vlog, and I try not to do that. I try to make sure that everything feels very real. They're real to what I believe is my experience anyway. It's this, it is a chance to help bring people along, if that makes sense. And like, so if you feel like you're on the outside looking in, and you are feeling, you are feeling like you're not part of something, like, by having watched something, you can turn things around in a way. And like one of my favorite stories that a viewer told me once was a guy was driving down the road. One person was riding a motorcycle. I think it was the guy that messaged me, and there was another guy in his car that was listening to a podcast that I had given, and the guy on the motorcycle heard my voice and like pulled up alongside this guy at the next stoplight and was like, "Whoa, you fly drones?" like we should go fly sometime, and he told me like that was 4 or 5 months ago, and now we see each other almost every day, and I have a close friend, and it's been so good, and it's all because I heard your voice on a freaking podcast driving down the highway, and and so for me, the communities and the effort that we put into developing content and information and things like that for those communities comes down to those kinds of moments like that, where you have developed or have helped someone develop a human connection or something powerful enough to help continue to change their lives in a positive way. And so it's worth all of the negativity. It's worth all of the battles that you have to go through. It's worth all of the "you suck" comments, because you have helped someone for the better. And, if you can leave this planet as having helped somebody somewhere, that is at least made it worth your while. So now why not try to help as many people as you can?
Is that, you mentioned at the beginning that you spend the first part of your day, which in a lot of people is the most important part of the day, focusing on your YouTube channel, your brand. Is that why?
Yes. Sometimes it's not always driven by.
Sure, maybe
that.
it's not totally altruistic, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go out and help 50 people today, but
things are driven by algorithms, and you have to have an amount of stuff put out every week, or else things fall off and all that, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, if I can't compete in racing and I can't make videos anymore, but I still have a platform to help people, that's that should be an important thing to continue to build. So
yeah. I guess the last few questions, where can people find you?
Yep. So if my personal recommendation on places to go is my YouTube channel, which is at nurk.tv, nurk.tv. Look forward you right onto the YouTube. My Instagram is fun. It's usually a bunch of little clips here and there. I try to be fairly active with stories, so you can kind of see the day in the life sort of stuff. My contract obligates that I bring up Twitter. You can follow me at Nurk FPV, but I do post there. It's usually just a runoff of my Instagram account, sure. Facebook, and I have a website, paulnurkala.com. Has a whole bunch of different stuff, whether that's you're learning how to build or fly, or you want to see my build lists and all that kind of stuff. So those would be the best places to find me. There's a contact form, so if you want to send me an email directly, talk about something super highbrow and altruistic like we've been talking about, or something as nitty-gritty as binding up a Futaba receiver or something, I'm here for you. So feel free to shoot me a message.
I guess before we wrap it up, do you get those requests a lot?
I do. If I don't have time to answer them, I send them to the person that knows and does have time. If I do, then I'll go as far out of my way as I possibly can. A lot of my tutorial videos are usually me answering someone's question and then taking it 1,000 times further, because that's me. Yeah, that's as much as I think of things to put out. I'm inspired by people's questions and stuff like that. So
that's interesting, because I just interviewed Joshua Bardwell, and he spends the first 2 to 4 hours a day answering questions. And it sounds like you've got a similar, maybe not 2 to 4 hours a day, but driven by questions to put out videos. So
I think that's really cool of Bardwell, though, because that excuse me, give me one moment.
That's all right. Yeah, do your thing.
His start was reviewing black box logs and helping people understand how their quads go. And so the fact that he has lived true to his brand for 4 or 5 years, has become a full-time professional YouTuber because of it, and the fact that he still does that now, that's fucking cool, dude. That he's continuing to remember the roots of what it is that brought him to where he is, and he's continuing to steer into that and become that, and to be helpful to people, and that's awesome. It's admirable.
Yeah, it definitely is. So for you, DRL, well, let me rephrase this.
Okay.
Does DRL pay the bills?
This year, DRL pays the bills.
Okay. Is there a hope for you that, maybe this DRL thing doesn't go on for another 5-10 years, that you can transition into full-time YouTube, full-time videography? Like, do you see your future being still attached to drones in some manner where you're making videos?
I do see my future still attached to drones in some way. Yes, absolutely. I don't know what that way is. Okay. I have definitely not figured that out. But, it's, in the meantime, continuing to remember there are opportunities that I have a chance to chase now that are, once-in-a-lifetime things. So,
Absolutely. Well, thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And, dude, this was great. This was fun.
It's probably further off the diving board than you thought you were going to go, but
no. We went, no, absolutely not. We are supposed to go as far off the diving board as we possibly can. Awesome. So thank you for going there with me. And with that, we will see y'all soon. Bye. Thank you to Paul Nurk for coming on the show. It was truly an awesome opportunity to get a chance to talk to him. You can find all of Paul's information in the links below, as well as links to my Patreon and links to the Pyrodrone coupon code that you can get, which will give you 10% off. My thanks to Pyrodrone for sponsoring all of the episodes for Paul Nurk, and I hope to see you in the next one. By the way, I think that you'll find that the final glide of the show is going to be pretty awesome.